Okay. What's going on, everybody? My name is Mangg. Welcome back to Hanging with Mangg. We are playing XCOM Chimera Squad. This is a brand new game from Firaxis in the XCOM universe, mainly using the XCOM 2 engine. And it's not XCOM 3. It's really meant more as like a holdover, I suppose, until we actually get XCOM 3. It is stripped down quite a bit, and on release, I think right now it only costs like $10. Probably worth $10. Part of the problem is I'm very used and accustomed to and enjoy XCOM 2. It's one of my favorite games of all time. Put many hours into XCOM 2. I've modded it to hell and back. And I like it. I like XCOM 2, especially modded, because it gets really in-depth. There's a lot of systems and subsystems you can get in there, and just like endless replayability. And that really appeals to me. I really like the in-depth stuff. And so my issue with this game
cut their losses in a spectacular fashion
is that it's really sort of it's almost like a mobile game or like a mobile
this
port.
Is a sacred Coil front. Move in and shut it down.
It's really like a bite-sized XCOM with pre-made characters. You know, you don't get to like create your own little XCOM platoon or anything. You don't really get to like explore the maps or really like strategically ambush things as you position your characters across this sprawling map. And all of like the subsystems and stuff of the strategic layer and research and development and all that has really been stripped down a lot, which is overall a bummer. Now, the two big things that they did change is, one, they added breach mode here, which actually is really cool. And if they could figure out a way to sort of introduce this concept into like XCOM 3 with, you know, the more normal gameplay, I think it would be pretty sweet, because every time you do a breach, it feels really cool, especially like an explosive breach. So when you do a breach, you pick an entrance, and you can have your characters kitted out with certain equipment that allows access to more unique types of breaches that give you a strategic advantage or a tactical advantage, I suppose. And then you get to basically ambush the enemy before the proper XCOM gameplay starts. So I think the breach aspect is really cool, but the way that it's set up with this game is that
This
instead
is
of
the disposal area for people.
having one big
Still
map,
signs of life. Don't let them activate that machine.
and you have, you know, your objectives for the one big map, and it's like, okay, you all arrive at one corner of the map, go, you know. Instead, every encounter is very segmented based around the breaches. So, you know, this is our map. These 2 rooms is our map for this encounter. That's it. And once we complete the objectives for this encounter here, killing all these enemies and getting whatever that, you know, whatever, doing the objective, then you'll move on to another encounter and you'll do another breach, and you know, your characters will automatically reload and move on, and it's all very bite-sized, like, chunks of gameplay, which takes away a lot of the free-form enjoyment of just tackling a big XCOM mission. And so it's fun because it is still XCOM at its core. You know, you're still tactically positioning and shooting and killing and all that sort of good tactical RPG stuff. But it's not XCOM 3, and really, in the long run, if I'm going to play XCOM, I'm just going to play modded XCOM 2, which allows for just a lot more customization and content. The other thing that they changed is, instead of all of your team going and then all the enemies going, they now have a turn order, where you can see on the right side of the screen, one of your characters will go, and then maybe 1 or 2 of the enemies will go, and you can use abilities to shift people around on this turn order. I'm sort of indifferent. With the way this is set up, it does allow for things that will fuck around with the turn order, which that does increase the number of potential gameplay options to you. It's another layer of things that you can mess with. But on the other hand, yeah, I mean, good or bad, when it was, you know, in like XCOM 2, when all the enemies go, it's like, all right, you just keep piling on the shit, and just it gets worse and worse, and then it's your turn, and you have to try and salvage everything before it's their turn again. Here, it's a lot more granular, I guess. It allows you a lot more freedom, I suppose, to sort of correct your mistakes. You know, nothing really piles on all at once.
Must advance.
Whether or not that's good or bad, I guess. Hard to say. I think if they announced XCOM 3 was going with this turn order thing, I wouldn't be too upset. It'd be like, okay, that doesn't ruin XCOM for me. I don't know why that guy activates self-destruct. He's all the fuck over there. So, I mean, it was worth $10. There's some interesting ideas here. I don't really care for, like, the characterization, you know, and like the voice acting and stuff, and other people complained about this too. But yeah, when it's $20, you know, in a couple weeks it'll be $20. That's a little harder to say. I'm sure there'll be people that like it, but if you like this, you'll probably like XCOM 2 more. Which just offers, you know, especially with mods and War of the Chosen, there's just an insane amount of content available to you with XCOM 2. Now, this game also has modding support, so maybe they'll be able to do some cool things with it. But I don't know, I feel like the framework is a little tighter, so I don't know. I don't know if modders are going to be as free as they would want to really do stuff. I guess time will tell. It does make me happy they're still working on XCOM stuff. I assume that this did not really take them much effort. Maybe it was a side team or something. And XCOM 3 is still on the way. That's really my hope.
I'll keep an eye out.
Oh yeah, they also changed Overwatch. So instead of just a blanket field of coverage, you have to specify a cone. I don't think we want to do that. That's going to be bad. That wasn't brilliant. So that was it. That was the whole mission. Now, that mission, you saw it from start to finish. That took about 10 minutes or so. Compare that to a mission in XCOM 2, which can easily take 45 minutes to an hour. It sort of lends to the whole mobile idea. Especially with these like thick, chunky buttons and stuff that are really designed for like finger presses.
Prisoners of war.
Yes.
I've seen the footage. You charged those chrysalids head on.
Well, our captors froze. Someone had to lead us before the
Anyways,
chrysalids overran
enough
us.
about XCOM.
You saved a lot of humans, even the ones taking you to a detention camp. Why?
The war was over. I was ready for what came next. Whatever that was.
So the other thing, before we move on, I got a new microphone this week, the Rode Procaster. I don't know if I really needed a new microphone, but like I said, I just wanted to throw money at the problem. But I also started really looking into the software side of things, and it's like, what can I do to make my voice sound better? And so this led me to Reaper. Reaper and Reaper plugins, which apparently a lot of people use, and I was just in the dark about this sort of stuff. But there are, I mean, Reaper is a DAW, digital audio workstation, I think. So it's basically like Audacity, which is what I've been using for years. You know, I built the Exploring series on Audacity, and it's a lot more. There's a lot more features. in Reaper, and they also have separate Reaper plugins that you can put into other programs that allow you to enhance your audio in different ways. And so doing some of that stuff with like noise suppression and compression and noise gate, you know, all that sort of stuff through the software side of things, I think it really helped. Like, I was really happy with how it sounded. So I'm hoping that this sounds pretty good. I do have Reaper plugins going through OBS right now, so it should sound pretty good. But I recorded the latest Exploring Series video with this Procaster mic through Reaper, and I felt it sounded really good. The thing is, like, I'm probably a lot more anal about my audio quality than I really need to be. I don't read that many comments anymore, but like last week's video on the tower, I recorded with like the worst mic setup I've had in a long time, and I read a bunch of comments, and I don't think anyone mentioned it. And, you know, the video coming out tomorrow is probably my best microphone setup in a long time, if not ever. And there'll probably be no one that mentions it. So it's really just for my own satisfaction, which is fine. Anyway, speaking of Exploring Series, I suppose. A frag grenade, huh? That sounds fun. So last week I released the Tower SCP-3333, which did pretty well. I think it's like my number 2 video of my last 10. So that's pretty good. I definitely need some solid videos right now with ad revenue way down. It's down like 50%. So having some good videos definitely makes me feel good. And tomorrow I'm releasing a video on SCP-2951. 10,000 Years. It's another DJ Cactus one. Not a particularly high-profile one. I even messaged Cactus some questions about it. I'm like, oh, I wanted to ask you about 2951, and he's just like, which one is that again? So, not that, you know, you have to remember every number. I don't remember a lot of numbers. It's a decent SCP. You know, it's a Cactus SCP. You've got exploration logs. You've got weird creepiness. It's all around pretty solid.
Friendly VIP ready for evac. Hostiles on the move.
So, yeah, no complaints. And I'm also working right now on a video for giants in D&D. The different types of giants in the world. Hill giants, frost giants, storm giants, stone giants. Ooh, ooh. That's a rough entrance. That's not really a breach whatsoever. We basically just walked in.
That's the VIP. Target in sight.
You have a flashbang. but damn, that's a way smaller radius than XCOM 2. XCOM 2's flashbang radius is massive.
Throwing flash.
That stunned them.
That's a little open.
Hello, neighbor.
Like, that's just not what you expect a muton to sound like. Anyways, yeah, giants in D&D. I haven't put out a D&D video in a while, so it's got to get done. Even though this week I'm taking another break. I haven't taken a week off since January, which I know that's sort of ridiculous. Plenty of people, you know, only get one, like, or, you know, get like 2 weeks off a year. It's certainly a perk that I can just take off any week that I want, really with like a negligible impact on my overall income, because I just do a reading video, which tends to do as well, if not better, than most of my videos. So I guess I'm spoiled, is what I'm saying. But, you know, take it where you can get it. And who's next? The Hitman. Alright, ventilate his ass. That was not a good idea. So I'll be doing a reading video on the document recovered from the Marianas Trench, which is something that I've already covered in the past. That's not good. Years and years ago, I did a reading of document recovered from the Marianas Trench, and it was pretty crappy microphone quality, and there was no images whatsoever. It was just a black screen. Ow. And I even, like, provide a link to the Volgan's channel in the description, because that was, like, right when he was getting started, and I was like, oh, he's doing good work. I could do that. I could do that.
Cover me while I reload.
Or I could throw a frag grenade. Damn, I can't hit the car and him. Alright, fuck it.
Reloading.
So it's a great tale. It's one of my favorites, and
Gremlin on
it's a popular one, so I figured I mentioned on Patreon I was going to do either that one or The Stars Do Not Wait for You. And the overwhelming... Actually, I don't think anyone voted for Stars Do Not Wait for You. So... we'll give the Marianas Trench a bit more love.
Anything that moves.
You got this.
Alright, this dude's got to get all the way across the map.
Headed this way.
And it's sort of a bummer to take a vacation during quarantine. 'Cause I don't know how much different, you know, anything's really going to be. It's more just I'm not working this week.
Covering
Not
my zone.
much.
I'll shoot anything that moves.
They won't get the drop on us.
Dead. So, that's the plan. Over on this channel, we
Incoming.
we've been continuing Final Fantasy VII Remake. It's going to continue for quite a while. There's a lot of videos. And I'm still not done recording. Still not done recording that. I don't even know if I'm that close. I don't know how many videos I have, but I'll just say that I'm still not inside the Shinra headquarters. So,
Move or die.
yeah, I mean, it's a long game. It's a full RPG. And I thought there would be way more side content than, you know, story content, as in a lot of RPGs. But really, it just keeps going and going and going and going.
Heading there.
So, yeah, buckle up for Final Fantasy, I suppose. God damn it.
Weapons running low.
We also have Metroid Prime 3. The final video of Metroid Prime 3, I think, is going up tomorrow, I want to say.
Moving.
You'll make it. I set him up. You
And
knock him
then
down.
Metroid Other M, as I keep mentioning. We also, of course, have Two Brothers Play continuing on.
Moving to position.
Seems like you people are liking Resident Evil 6, our little co-op Let's Play. We're both enjoying it, so that's gonna continue. You know, the original design intention for this for that series was basically just James and Mike Mondays, where we just flip around every week, play something
Headed
different.
where I'm needed.
There'd be a lot of editing, and I would just chop up, you know, our gameplay sessions, and we'd play for like a few hours, and I'd chop it down to like 45 minutes. The thing is, though, that I'm very egotistical. and I hate to
I
cut
must
out
ask for a
any
favor.
of my own
Sure.
content.
What's up?
A new restaurant opened on the promenade. Steak sandwiches, processed cheese sauce, authentic old world cuisine.
You can't eat that. You'll die.
But you can. And with your consent, I can share your sense of taste.
Yeah, man. I'll taste greasy food for you. As long as we split the cost.
Deal.
I guess the thing is with James and Mike Monday, it's not really ever a let's play. That's not their intention. Whereas, I guess with us, it's sort of a let's play. I mean, I do like when we just do like one game per video. But most of the time, you're really not going to see much of the game because we don't sit down for 5 hours at a time. No, we sit down for like an hour and a half. So if I really just cut that up, you're not going to get much left. So it's just sort of, basically, it's just sort of a co-op let's play. Sometimes we can do single player stuff. Yeah, I mean, it's sort of a freeform series, I suppose. And I think with the length of the Leon section of Resident Evil 6, like we've got 3 videos now. We're not even done with chapter 2, and there's 5 chapters. I don't know if every chapter is as long as each one. But I mean, this is going to be like a 15-part little let's play here, which, I mean, normally that's not that unusual. I do plenty of lengthy let's plays like that. But at 1 a week, that's really the killer thing. 1 a week. That's 15 weeks. That's a long time. That's nearly like 4 months to finish one let's play. So I think when we finish the Leon stuff, that whole section, we'll probably be good with Resident Evil 6. It is a fun game, but to do the whole game would probably take a long time. So yeah, but we're enjoying it, so that's good. Okay.
Say a hostile force has access to a dangerous device, but destroying it would cause harm to you.
So, I don't really have much board game discussion
gene
this
therapy
week.
clinic has been shut down for years, but today, Sacred Coil
I don't think
tripped
we
the
even
alarm.
played Pandemic
See
Legacy
if you
this
can
week.
Stop their genetic modification for good.
Maybe we got burned out on that. Hard to say.
Follow me.
Get blasted, nub. I'd rather you kill this thing. Double shotgun blast. That'll take care of you. Yeah. So let's just talk about roll manging then. So we picked up. We're in this orbital ruin, this space station that's been abandoned for hundreds of years, and clearly something went pretty wrong in this space station. They were experimenting and studying some sort of alien life form. Things got out of hand. Everybody died.
Going on about genetic modification. Makes sense they'd come here.
Sense? There's no sense to sacred Coil. They grasp at a world that no longer exists.
And we were joined
loudly, with extreme candor.
We were joined with a new player, Realm, one of the admins on my Discord server.
Keep behind me.
And I sort of talked about that last week of him playing an Imperial Guardsman with psychic abilities. And he actually did switch from biopsionics to metapsionics, and he's basically playing a blank, psychic blank in the 40k universe, which I think is just a solid concept for a character as part of the rogue traders retinue. You know, I've been reading the Eisenhorn novels, and having a blank at his side really saves his ass a few times. Damn this.
Flashbang out.
That stunned them.
I don't know why she says that stuns them when that's not what it does. It disorients them. Stunning is a whole separate effect. Be awesome if it stunned them. So we start just, you know, we continue walking through this orbital ruin. Ah, damn it. Die. And we come across this larger room, this staging area, and it leads to the holding cells, which we determined to be mostly empty, aside from one corpse that was locked in, that apparently locked himself in to one of the holding cells. And then there's the door to the research area, and a whole bunch of basically this large metal shelf had been piled up against the door leading to the research center. So they were trying to keep something out or keep something in. That's a bummer. And we also found a whole slew of corpses in the staging area. And so Mert began checking over these corpses to find out how they died. And he ends up finding like little bugs sort of crawling around that seem to like seep into the bones of these skeletons.
Drop in the hammer.
And so I take my my thermal flare and I go over to one of the skeletons and I put the flame to the bone to see if, you know, a bunch of skeletons pop out. Or a bunch of bugs pop out, not skeletons.
Gotta get moving.
That would be weird. And bugs don't really pop out, but the multiple skeletons of the room begin to move.
I'm running low.
And they basically join together like Voltron into this giant
Arrested
skeleton.
the target.
Position? Heal thyself.
And that's what we fight. We fight this giant skeleton monster. Didn't really do that much damage. Wasn't that difficult of a fight.
Pediatrics? Okay, that's disturbing.
What kind
Mostly
of
because Thomas has
Gene
this
crushes are one kind, not the powering up a death camp.
experimental bolt
Thank you
gun
for
or this
clarifying.
prototype bolt
You
gun
never know in this
that
business.
just fucking shreds it. I mean, as you'd expect a bolt gun to do to just human bones assembled by bugs into a formation. Alright, well. I mean, if you're gonna be able to breach through a wall, you
Ready
want to
for
breach
breach?
through a wall. I mean, that's the coolest way to breach. Oh my god, how did you not kill that? So yeah, I mean, it wasn't that tough of a fight. It was just one single target that wasn't that like heavily armored or anything.
Those people are dying.
So
Shut down those crushes.
we certainly took some damage, but nothing too serious.
Reloaded.
And at this point, we start sort of debating about what to do with the research center. Because based on camera footage, the only thing really of worth in there
Hello,
is this
neighbor.
like flamethrower, this flamer. Shit. And I'm pretty hesitant about heading in and just going for this flamer. I mean, it doesn't really seem worth it. Thomas, however, is more interested. So we decide to poke our heads in, You know, if there's any trouble, I can do some teleportation stuff. You know, it's not going to be the end of the world, presumably, if we just poke our heads in. So we, of course, poke our heads in, and opening the door immediately opens like a tear. In the wall of the ruin in the research center. And so very quickly the room begins to depressurize.
Ammo out.
So we immediately hustle back out of there.
Frag out.
And we close the door, and then we have to decide, okay, the room is depressurizing. Now what do we want to do? I sort of just wanted to ditch it.
Reloading.
But Thomas, like I said, was insistent.
Incoming!
Watch your flanks.
Oh my god, are you kidding me, dude? Fucking low rolled. Brilliant.
Moving. Eyes open.
That one sees you.
And he had some sort of cybernetic augmentation that helped him in like low atmosphere, low oxygen environments. So he decided to go in while the rest of us all retreated to the ship.
He'll be fine.
He did some rolls. I don't know exactly what happened. It was sort of secretive. But he ended up making it out with the flamer, and all was well. So as we get back to the ship, I get a message sent by Ovum. He's apparently been delayed on his flight to take care of this Necron world by a band of orcs. And so they're in this this big
Good work
Navy
shutting down Sacred Coil's genetic testing program.
battle
City 31 can sleep
between
safer
between the orcs. And so he asks, you know, if we have I probably have the exact message. We ran into an orc battle group and are heavily outnumbered. Taking out 3 ships to 1, but they have us locked into attrition and we will be delayed, possibly overwhelmed should this continue on. He gave me their position, says, I understand there's little you could do to come to our aid unless you're able to tow a nuclear payload or some other large-scale weapon, should you be blessed enough with such resources. And at the same time, our rogue trader was asking about the power source for the orbital ruin, which was in the power room that we never gained access to. And so, putting 2 and 2 together, well, actually, they were off trying to get into this power room to get the power source for our rogue trader because he wanted to sell it, I guess. And I get this message from Ovum, so I'm like, So I go in, they open the power cell, I think Thomas hacks into it finally, and we find out that the power source to this ruin is nuclear. So I decide to requisition this power source on behalf of the Inquisition and the Emperor. And so Thomas manages to pull out the power source intact, and we take it onto the ship. And I tell him to strap it to a missile, basically. And then I tell our rogue trader that I'm commandeering the ship temporarily to assist the Inquisitor in his battle against the Orc
Hey, buddy.
menace.
Read my mind lately?
You know I would never do that.
How would you know? I know, unless you read my mind.
Because I am your squad mate, and you trust me with your life.
Which you could have programmed me to think.
No one can program a mind with such complexity as yours.
So the rogue trader is not going to argue.
I think you're the only one who truly gets me.
Can't argue with
I
the
know.
Inquisition too much unless you want trouble. So we fly the ship over to Ovum's position, and Realm ends up launching the nuclear missile at the Orcs, wiping out a whole bunch of them, turning the tide of the battle. All is well. And at that point, we leveled up, which was nice. And also at that point, my power went out. The power went out in my whole neighborhood for the next 3 or so hours, I think. So that was unfortunate timing. We had to cut the session sort of short. So if you're wondering why the stream abruptly ends, that's why. But when we come back, we should be awarded something by Ovum. And we'll see where our adventures take us next in the wide world of the 42nd millennium. Good stuff. I suppose that's about it then. So, yeah, check out 2951 tomorrow over on the Exploring series. Giants in D&D, that should be interesting. Got more Final Fantasy VII Remake and Metroid Prime 3 coming your way. And, and of course, Metroid Other M starting this week. A very, a pretty unique game, I guess you'd say. It was very refreshing after 3 Metroid Prime games. Alrighty. My name is Mangg. This has been Hanging with Mangg. See you fine folks next week.